everybody is basically falling on the sword. And then Mai does not fall on the sword. Mai is the only one to really, pick someone else. Did that surprise you? I mean, you alluded to it in the show, but did you guys not talk about this before? What was that?
So the way they did it, we really didn't get to game plan. So it was immediate. Basically, it's like, all right, here's the roles, go. And we didn't really get to talk to each other.
Mm-hmm.
But again, there's significant editing going on here. And I hope this interview is not going to get me in trouble, but here we go.
Hello, welcome back to a brand new episode. My name is Justin Stephen Ford, host of JustinTIME for StoryTIME and author of the diverse picture book, I See Me. And as you know, on this channel, we're all about children's literacy and inspiring people. And I had the amazing opportunity to be on the #1 Netflix show right now, Squid Game's The Challenge. Unfortunately, I did go out on cookie, but I met so many amazing people in the process with amazing stories. So I thought, why not have some of them on the channel so they can share what we heard, what we saw, and everything in between, and what we didn't. So without further ado, you're just in time for story time. Okay, I'm not going to talk anymore. I'm going to invite up our guest today. Please welcome to JustinTIME for Storytime player 386, Chad Van Horn. What's up, man?
Man, player 286, happy to be here. And thanks so much for having me on, man.
Absolutely. So let's just get straight into it because I'm super excited to have you. You know, the show is out. You are actually one of my fan favorites for how you played the game with such integrity. So before we get into the gameplay, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, so I'm a bankruptcy attorney in Fort Lauderdale, big into charitable organizations, Big Brothers, Big Sisters, legal aid. That's part of the reason that I got on the show, and I love to compete. So this was right down my alley. Can't believe I actually got picked, let alone got to compete with people like you. It was an incredible experience.
Wild. I still can't believe we did it. Like, blows my mind. So you were a fan of the original show, I take it.
Absolutely. And as a bankruptcy attorney, I see people struggling with debt all the time. So that really inspired me to apply. So the original show hit home because I've had clients that I know that if this was a real life thing, they would have applied for a show like this. So it really, really hit home with me, and that's why I applied to try to be on the show.
Okay. How'd you find out about the whole application process?
Actually, one of my best friends, he really wanted to be on the show, and he's like, "We should go on together." He shot me over the link. Did my 1-minute video. Wasn't expecting a call back. And literally like a day later, they called me back. He said, "Hey, we're interested." And I was like, "Why?"
Not why.
And then went through a whole long process, and they ended up selecting me.
Yeah. Now, did your friend get selected?
Unfortunately, not. So I'm going to try to use whatever leverage I have to get him on series 2 or season 2.
That's a good friend. So you get selected. You find out you're headed to London to film Squid Games. Did you do any preparation ahead of time? Did you train? Did you do anything?
So luckily, I have a personal trainer. Shout out to Caleb. He's awesome. So you don't have to get ready if you stay ready, kind of thing. So and Caleb always has me working on my balance, my strength, a little bit of everything. He even gave me workouts to do while I was over there getting ready. So I certainly did that. I watched I watched the episodes over again. Okay. I studied different gameplay. One of the big things was in marbles. We had a feeling that marbles was going to come. I knew that there were certain games that you can guarantee yourself a win.
Yeah.
I think the name of the game is NIM.
Yeah.
And it's basically a math game, and I love those as well. So I was playing some of those games, but I really was just trying to keep an open mind because we really had no idea what we were going into. We had some thoughts of what might happen, but as you know, day one,
everything. So let's talk about that. So we fly to London, hop on a plane. We have a little bit of a quarantine time. Was that quarantine time stressful for you before we went into the games?
The quarantine time wasn't bad for me. There's a 5 hour difference between Fort Lauderdale and London, so it allowed me to get on London time.
Right.
Also allowed me to wean myself off of caffeine because as a lawyer, coffee keeps me going.
Yeah.
And it was actually a relaxing time for me. I was doing workouts in my room. I still got to do work because they didn't take, as you know, they didn't take our laptop or cell phone until the last day, pretty much.
Okay.
And I had a beautiful view of the Tower Bridge, and there were fireworks going off. It was actually a cool scene for a little bit. So it was actually fun for me.
I'm so mad. I had a view of a brick wall, like another building for like 5 days.
Yeah, that would have been rough, man. Every morning I woke up, and actually I have a video. I'm going to share it eventually.
Yeah.
I was tanning because the sun would hit that glass building on the side and bounce back and hit. So I would try to get a little bit of a tan.
Yeah, a sunroom, a view. Oh, you were chilling. Okay. So that happens. The morning comes. We turn in our cell phones, everything, tablets, laptops. They hand you your player number. We're on a bus, this is crazy to me. We're on a bus in pitch black in the middle of London, and we know nothing. We don't know where we're going. They tell us nothing. And then we pull up to the biggest airplane hangar that I've ever seen. And we walk in, and but they hook us up with all of these things. And I think that's the first time we really kind of see 456 people in one place. What were you thinking at that time?
Yeah, it was a wild scene, and I think it was about a 2-hour bus ride. It felt like.
Yeah.
And luckily, I sat next to some nice people. They really didn't want us talking, but we kind of broke that a little bit. So my guy Neo and I became close on the bus, nice. Whispering to each other.
Nice.
I hope I don't get in trouble now for doing that. And when we pulled up to the hangar, my first thought was, man, is this going to be some sort of badass glass bridge? Because it's so high.
Yeah.
Are they just going to throw us for a complete loop? We're expecting red light, green light because that's the first game.
Right.
But maybe they're going to use this and glass bridge. And it was cold there. That food was awful. I don't know if you enjoyed it, but that food was disgusting.
Terrible.
Thank you.
Terrible.
And we're in the tents, and of course everybody is circled around the heater, trying to get warm. And that was the first time where actually I started putting my crew together because
your game for the first game.
Yeah, and it actually shows it. If you look at the people that made it through red light, green light, and then made it, there were a lot of number groups that made it through. And I think part of that was to have people rooting you on, cheering you on. It really made a difference in this. So you'll see 285, my guy Cookie, 286, me, my 287, DeAndre, 288. We all made it. And Brownie was actually in our group as well, but she was in our tent. I think she was 227. So we had a really strong group from the tent moving forward.
Day one. Got it. Yeah. So we walk out, we walk around the corner, green doors open, and we see that it is red light, green light. Take it from there.
Man, first off, that set was incredible. Just looking around, the doll, the guards, everything. So the first thing that I did was I was trying to measure the distance. So I was looking at the rafters.
Okay.
And we weren't really allowed to walk out there. So I measured basically 10 yards from where we were in the back, and I counted how many rafters. It was about 110 yards. So I was trying to think, okay, how many yards do I need for every stop? And then I was just basically put my game plan together, talked to a lot of people. Player 399, Aurora, my girl. Yeah. She knew the song, and she had a rhythm, so I followed her rhythm.
Okay.
I was going to work with Brownie and follow Brownie, but she finished second. She was way up there. And I was like, man, I'm going to take it a little easier. So I I had a rhythm where I take my 5 or 6 steps and do a jump stop. I'm a basketball player.
Yeah.
Yep. And just sit there with my hands in my pocket and just slow and steady wins the race. I don't know if you remember, but there was a guy that was crushing everybody. I forget his name. But he was in first place by far. And then all of a sudden they stopped and they had all the cameras around him. Do you remember that? And then they started popping. And he was so far ahead of everybody. He was killing it. And then so that's how I looked at it. Was I believe to finish first.
Very strategic.
Oh, 100%. Although initially, then my first thing was like, don't be the first out because that's going to be embarrassing. Sorry to whoever was the first out. I can't remember the number, but I'm not going to call it out. Because I remember hearing it.
But the first time you hear that pop go off, y'all, it's like terrible. And it's like, yeah.
Well, and I don't know if you noticed this too. A lot of people got out because people heard the pop next to them and they went like this. Yeah, and then they popped. So it was so that's why I actually started in the very back because I wanted to see what was going to happen. You did the same thing. Mm-hmm. Well, I didn't make it past the start line.
Same. After the first song? Same.
Yeah, after the first song. And I don't know if you remember, somebody asked the question, can we get popped if we're not past the start line?
Oh.
And the answer was yes. They were like, yeah, if you're not past the start line, we'll still pop you if you go. I was like, man, if I don't make it past the start line to get popped, I'm not even telling anybody I was on this show.
Right.
Because I really wasn't.
So he wasn't even on TV. So
no, absolutely not.
So we start the game. You see the 5 minutes on the clock. I do want to address it really quick. How we weren't holding positions for like 5 minutes or 10 minutes. We were holding positions for 30 minutes, maybe longer. Did you have to change up your strategy once that happened?
Yeah. My strategy at one point was, all right, I'm just going to quit. This sucks.
Same. I totally counted myself out in the beginning. I was like, there's no way. I found out how mentally strong, Chad, I was through this.
100%. Mm-hmm. And so I was thinking, I was like, all right, should I dive? Should I get on the floor? Should I sit? Should I, I was thinking of all these things. And I'll still remember too, you can kind of have a feeling of how long the songs were going for a little bit. Like it was like 5 seconds, right? And then there was one that started to go longer, and I see people making up ground. I was like, oh shoot, I can do it. Hands came out of the pocket, start running, and then they stop, and then of course it stops, and I'm standing in a running position for 20 minutes.
They're not doing that again.
And one of the girls behind me is like, just a couple more minutes. You got this. Because she sees me like shaking.
Mm-hmm. So I want to talk about how, I feel like around us, we're all strangers. We're all competing for the same prize. But I found it very interesting how the people around you kind of instantly became this like support system. We couldn't talk, but it was just like, keep going. Don't stop. Because then people would fall next to you and going out. And the people that were with you as you went further, like you bonded with those people. So that makes sense that that's who your core alliance became.
100%. Yeah. It was actually something I didn't expect to build the relationships that I did that quickly. I cried more during this show than I have in my life, legitimately. Yeah. I'm not really a crier. Mm-hmm. But when people that you spent so much time, you see them fighting and know what they're fighting for, know what their dreams are, know what they're going to use that money for. Mm-hmm. Man, it was very emotional.
Yeah. So you make it through red light, green light. For me, it was one of the best feelings I've heard in my entire life. Like exhausted, excited, sad.
What group? When did you finish about? What group approximately?
I got out right before like all those people went out for like 30 people went out for after they crossed the line.
That was my group.
Okay, so we got at the same time.
No. I was the one where I crossed the line, and I had a short period, and we were all celebrating together.
Yeah.
And then we're like, wait for the review.
Yeah.
And we're standing there, and all I could pop, 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 all around me. I had ink all over me, and I just like slowly looked down at mine. I'm like, oh, mine didn't go off. And then all these other people that I was just celebrating with are now in tears.
My God. That was wild.
It was insane.
They switched it up. They played the song for like 2 seconds.
They did. And I was lucky if you actually see in the show, I was 2 feet away. And I was dead center. So I ran straight at the doll. And I was on the doll while she was turning. And I was like, there's no way I got popped. There's no way. But doubt creeps in. It's like, well, maybe I didn't get across.
Yeah. Terrifying. Woo! Okay.
Oh, and one thing, and I haven't shared this publicly yet. Everybody knows that me and 033 Figgy became friends.
Yeah.
The way that we became friends, she finished after me there, but we obviously waited. And I was cheering with somebody else that finished, and I elbowed her in the face. And she took it like a champ. And her first thing was like, she's like, "Don't worry about it. Just guarantee me that you're on my tug of war team. If there's tug of war," I'm like, this girl is a gamer. And she takes an elbow to the face, and that's the first thing she talks about.
You have to be on my alliance now.
And how do I say no to that, right?
Shout out to Figgy.
Shout out to Figgy, man. She's a beast.
So you make it past red light, green light. And then the very next morning, we're back on buses and we're headed into the dorms. And for me, the game started at red light, green light. But once you entered into the dorms, that's where you stayed until you were eliminated. That's where all the games were played. So you walk into the dorms. How was that?
Bro, the dorms were sick. What a scene. I mean, that's where I actually felt like I made it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that was a cool experience. That's where I felt like I really I made it on the show. This is a thing. And my buddy Cookie and I, we strategically go for, I feel like the beds that nobody wanted right next to the bathroom.
Yeah. Oh, you were in that little corner.
Yeah, I was in that corner.
Right in those steps.
Yes.
Yeah.
So there's a gang out there that calls themselves the Corner Gang or whatever. Shout out to Kyle.
So what are you about to say?
Okay. Cookie and I started that. So you know we started that. We took over that corner, and then you guys later, started to migrate over there. So Kyle was in that, right?
Kyle, yeah. Kyle.
Yeah, so, yeah, shout out to Fort Lauderdale, Kyle. We had our own little Fort Lauderdale alliance, Broward County alliance too, with Sam as well. So, but the reason we took those, we knew everybody was going to walk back and forth, and we could hear people talking, and we can meet people without even having to leave our beds or leave our area. So we learned so much about people because people were just talking to each other all the time. And but yeah, the dorms were crazy. I was super nervous about the bathrooms and the showers. So I don't like dirty showers and dirty bathrooms, man.
Showering with 190 people. It was hair was everywhere. But one thing that was beautiful for me in the dorms was we have, like I said, no outside technology, no sense of time. And we had all just gone through this crazy experience that bonded us. We're all dressed in the same thing. We're not meeting people via social media or what they do. And I think the beautiful thing for me, it restored my hope in humanity, because it was beautiful because you had people just talking and getting to know each other and sharing we're together 24/7. So they're sharing their deepest, darkest secrets and what they've been through. And you look around, and we didn't see a lot of these stories, but you look around and people, grown men crying, people consoling. That's why I think your relationship with Mai is so beautiful, because it's like maybe you guys would have never met had it not been for an experience like that. Did you get that sense of it in the dorms?
100%. And there's a Netflix article out right now about where people are and whatnot. And in my interview in there, I talk about how I hope that the impact of the positivity of the dorm and everything that came out of that, from people that are still competing for 4.56 million, to not give up on their morals and morality and have love for people. I hope that has a bigger impact than even the 4.56 million would, because I think that a lot of people watching this are going to think that everybody was stabbing everybody in the back. And people asked me about villains and whatnot. And actually 198 and I were cool. We finished red light, green light together. So we were actually cool.
Okay.
You know, I follow him a little bit on TikTok now, and obviously I don't love kind of things that he does, but that's his thing. But there weren't really that many villains.
No.
I mean, people were cool. Like everybody asked me about Brighton too, and you know, Brighton was Brighton. You know, he is who he is. But I still don't think he was like an evil person. You know what I mean? So I didn't see any truly evil people. And what I would do, and I think you probably noticed this, every day after breakfast, lunch, and dinner, I would go for a walk back and forth in the middle of the dorm, and I would just talk to somebody new.
Yeah.
And everybody that I talked to, it seemed like was more interesting than the last person. Yeah. Like, yeah, this person, wow, this person has a great story.
Absolutely. Yeah. Netflix did a great job casting because you had so many stories. Everybody that you see on that TV was casted for a reason. And they all have very interesting stories. And so, I mean, to be in that experience with people that everybody you talk to has like this crazy story, it was wild. It was wild.
Yeah. That was my favorite part by far, was just learning about these different people, like from Lexi being a stunt woman that going through what she went through to my being what I think is a CIA agent. But
absolutely.
But yeah, it was awesome.
Absolutely. So, you know, the food is terrible. You know, we have boiled chicken porridge, which is like soupy oatmeal every morning. And that's all part of the game, but you know, the game is designed to break you. And then we line up, you know, we walk through the staircase for the first time, which was amazing. And then we walk into what is Dalgona. What shape did you get?
I got circle.
Circle. So, how did you end up in the circle line?
So again, like I followed my people. And so Figgy Brownie, Doc, who actually Doc made his own shapes in practice before. And I knew Doc from Pittsburgh. Actually, I knew his restaurant. Yeah, his kid's restaurant, pizza restaurant, is 1 block from my mom's house in Pittsburgh.
Oh, nice.
So I met him before and his kids before, and he was telling me and giving tips. So I just followed all of them, and they were going to go line 4. But James, I guess, small James, super sweet guy. Yeah. He was teaching in Korea. He said 4 is a really unlucky number in Korea. And so switched that real quick. They're like, oh, we're going line 1, and I just followed him to line 1. So that saved my game right there, because there's no way in hell I was getting that umbrella. Yeah. So you get circle. We see how it all, you know, goes down on TV with the choosing. Did you have a strategy for that circle to get it out? Did it pop out easy? Because I unfortunately went out in triangle. We don't have to talk about it, but talk about your circle. All right. So this is where editing can trick you. So if you watch the editing, it looked like I did really well. And Figgy and Brownie finished after me. That was not the case. I was last to finish. I threatened to break the guard's leg because he kicked sand in my cookie dish. There was like a minute left, and I felt like I was getting no progress at all. Brownie finished, and she stood over me. She's like, "I'm not leaving you." And like, there's a point where I'm trying, like, it's not working. And she's like, just hold the needle like this, because I was like holding it sideways. It was slipping out of my hands, and just keep going around. You're almost there. You're almost there. And with like maybe 20 seconds left, all of a sudden it just popped open, and I'm just like staring at it, and there was no cracks. It was like a perfect circle. And Brownie grabs my arm. She's like, raise your hand.
Like, do it now.
Because I was just staring at it. Like, I didn't believe it. And then they were like 286 pass. I was in shock. God. So man, it was like there's some video like for my personal collection that I would want, and that would be one. I want everybody to see me crying over a cookie, but
Brownie make a grown man cry, man. Listen.
And that goes back to what we were saying earlier, though. You know, Brownie cheering me on. Without Brownie, I wouldn't have got through it. 0% chance, because I was in full freak out mode.
So was I, hand shaking, mouth dry, like it was when you see people shaking, like it was $4 million on the line for this cookie. Like it was so stressful. And mind you, we had been in these dorms for a couple days at this point. You know, you're not sleeping that great, you're not eating that great, you're socially stimulated 24/7. So it was a lot of factors. So congrats on that. Congrats.
Thank you.
I'm dead at this point. I'm out of there. But you go back into the dorms and you see beds removed, all of that. How is your gameplay at this point? Is it changing? Is it evolving? Are you getting closer with your alliance?
So definitely getting closer with my alliance. And the good part about my alliance was it truly was based on friendship. You know, it's that thing. It's like family over friends, basically. Like I felt like I had family, and everybody else was coming up with gangs. No offense to your corner gang, but I really felt like I had family, and the best part of my family was Brownie and Figgy would go out, and they would be in other alliances. Yeah, and they would talk. You know what I mean? They would talk, and then they would just come back to me like, "Here's what's going on. Here's this."
Yeah. I mean, that's amazing. You have to have like plants everywhere. Yeah.
Oh, and I just had friends too that were in other groups as well, and you know I was friends with pretty much everybody in there. I mean, there's only one person that I wasn't friends with, and I voted him out, which was great. And you should actually, I don't know if you saw my Instagram story, but it's pretty funny. But anyway, going back to it, so we're going back. But the number one thing for me was, you know, as you know, or I'm sorry, you wouldn't know, but you watched it.
I watched it.
Everybody's waiting.
That salt in that room, Chad. Appreciate it.
Nah, but everybody's waiting for you to come back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And you know what? And they would come back sporadically. Just a few people would come back. Oh. And they would do that for dramatic effect. So I was my boy Cookie 285 for some reason was not in my group. Actually, he was in your group. I think he was Triangle. Okay. Yep. And Cookie gets out in Cookie games. So I was sad that I lost my guy Cookie. Yeah. And of course, there are other people that we were sad that they didn't come back. Mm-hmm. Which again is strange because I should be like, yes, Justin's out, man, because he's a competitor. So that guy being out, I'm one step closer. But it wasn't that way. You know, when they would do the money thing and whatnot, they'd make you get up and whatever. But I wasn't necessarily happy when people were getting out.
Yeah. Okay. Very good note. So you're in the dorm for some more time. You see the telephone happen. You didn't touch that phone. Stand away from that phone. We see what happened to 198. And then you go into the white room again. And it is not tug of war because we see everyone trying to line up with big lines. Instead, it is Warships. Now, walk us through that a little bit.
So they wanted to match up my squad with the squad that they matched up with. What do they call themselves? The Gang Boo Gang or whatever.
Yeah, the dude, the fellas.
Yeah. So they wanted that matchup and they wanted to build that up. And I don't care what any of those guys said. I would have dragged all their asses across the line. They did not have a chance against us. Yeah. And I actually reached out to them. I said, we can still do this. I mean, we're still alive. We can do a charity event where let's line it up. I'm ready.
That would be cool. Yeah. That would be cool.
I have complete confidence. They were like, "Oh, you have too many girls in your line." I was like, "Man, my girls are stronger than your guys. I don't care." And we have a squad, but so we walk in. We realize obviously it's not tug of war. The other side, they're talking crap, and they're like, "Oh, you guys are so lucky," blah blah blah, whatever. And the first thing that came to mind was, I know Brownie. She had military family. Mm-hmm. One of my best friends in the game, if not my best friend in the game. Yeah. Because she was like, she just whispers, like, "I want to be the captain." Yeah. I was like, "Then you should be the captain. Let's go." Yeah. And then Daryl, the lieutenant, is a game designer. Yeah. And she's awesome. And they put the boats where they put the boats, and they put me in the little boat. I wish they would have put me in a little boat with Figgy. That way, if we went down, then both of us went down. But I think Brownie split us up on purpose to make sure that if we're going down, or if a boat's going down, at least all the friends are going down, so somebody can continue moving forward.
Right.
And then during the game, you'll see a lot of back and forth, especially TJ. Love you, TJ, but you just talk too much, bro. So Brownie and Daryl were, asking for our feedback, and we just kept saying, "Hey, we have our faith in you. We picked you as our captain. Play your game." Because if I'm giving you my strategy, it might not align with your strategy, and now we have 17 different strategies. Just play your game.
Yeah.
And we had 2 pegs to win it, and both missed. And then we had a guaranteed peg, and they had a 50-50 chance.
Yeah. Which one was it? Which one was it? Right.
Yeah, exactly. And you can see the back and forth with Dan, who Dan, I had friends on that squad too. Dan's my guy.
Yeah.
Doc was over there. There were a lot of guys over my guys over there. And Dan goes with, I guess, Doc's recommendation. They hit. Honestly, that was destroyed me at that point. And there were actually people on my team that didn't realize that they weren't out. AK left, and he wasn't on a boat that sunk. He just thought that since we lost, so they had to actually go get him and bring him back in, which was kind of funny.
Oh my gosh! Yeah,
100%. That was one of the funniest moments that happened.
He's like, "You're still."
And that was one of the lowest parts of my game because I lost Kwame, I lost Figgy, I lost
Brownie,
I lost Daryl, I lost like my squad. And I actually told the producers, I said, "Look, if you want me to answer a phone or something and I can bring one of those back that I have to eliminate, I'll do that 100% right now."
Really?
And they told me, which I found out later was not true, that they talked to Figgy and Brownie and said they don't want to do it. But they lied to me. That wasn't true. But whatever. but I talked to Brownie and Figgy, and they said they wouldn't have let me do it anyway. But
yeah. To be like, and, I hear you talk, and I hear how loyal you are. Like for you at this point, it's not even about the money; it's about going through this experience, these connections that you've made. Have you always kind of been that guy where, like, once somebody's in Chad's circle, like you're a ride or die that way?
Oh, 100%. Yeah, I've been fortunate where I have friends 30 plus years. I've been friends with people, and if I find a good person, I try to latch on to them. And that was another one of my strategies going in is I wanted to basically recreate my friend group, and I did a good job. And it's funny watching like Brownie meet my version of Brownie in real life, Layla.
Hilarious.
They like meet each other, and they're like, "Oh, I get it."
Yeah.
So and actually that happened with Cookie. Met my version of Cookie, and it's like, yeah, I get it. It's similar personalities. So but yeah, that's who I am. And that I like the next 2 days I did not leave my bed. Like welfare actually came out, and they were like, "Hey, are you okay?" And I was not okay.
Not really. Yeah. And it takes so much out of you. Like I said, I mean, I feel like it's the closest thing to like losing someone without losing them because they die and then you never see them again. Like you don't get to say goodbye, any of that.
Well, it's funny. I got yelled at for because they would lie to us and say, "Yeah, don't worry, you'll get to see them and say goodbye." And we quickly realized that was a lie. So when they got out, they're like, "Everybody stay in your boat." I said, "Screw that." I went up on stage actually and was hugging back. She was crying like crazy and whatnot. I was like, "Look, what are you going to do? Eliminate me? Go ahead. If that's really what you want to do." But when someone you care about that much is hurting that much, I mean, you got to be there for them. So I definitely got yelled at for that, and I didn't care.
I'll take the yelling. It's fine. Let me console my friend. So that happens. You come back into the dorm. Less beds are gone, like you said. And then there's a couple tests that take place. Were you involved in those tests? So that's the voting test where we lose Lorenzo, and then there's the Jack in the Box.
Yeah. So for the voting test, yes, I was involved in that. That was a little scary, especially when they changed the rule where if you put somebody new up, the new face goes up.
Yeah.
Good news for me is I think his number is 374, Andy. he was on the battleship or warship opposing team, and after it was over, he was talking shit. So I was like, all right, I know who I'm going to take. And you can actually see us walking in the dorm, and R. Kelly and Dan were like trying to tell him, like, look, don't poke the bear, like leave Chad alone.
Chill.
And then he was trying to apologize. I was like, don't worry, I'm going to get you. Don't worry.
Yeah.
And he's like, what do you mean by that? So I think part of why they show him like playing up, like, oh, you know, I'm a weak guy, you know, maybe was because he knew that I was 100% voting for him. And I had other people that, you know, love Brownie, love Fee, love those people that, look, celebrate your win. You know, I'm an athlete. There's a classy way to win. There's a classy way to lose.
Yeah.
And if you're just cheering with your team, that's great. But if you start talking shit, and I'm coming for you.
And the crazy thing about this game was every little move you make could either help you or hurt you. So it could be as simple as, I know Amber got voted out because the person never even talked to her before. And then you have people who got voted out for not taking apples. Like, you know what I mean? Chocolate like came into the play. And like,
that was wild.
That was wild. Check out my interview with Dan. Check out my interview with Rick about that chocolate situation. But so all of that happens. Jack in the Box happens. How come you didn't volunteer for Jack in the Box?
Bro, I'm not volunteering for anything, man. I'm not doing chores. Actually, I did chores toward the end. But my goal was, look, make friends, stay under the radar as long as I could. And then when I had to make moves, make moves. So when Jack in the Box went up there, bro, even the Jacobin, the guy that gets the advantage, bro, that's how gangster. And I was the first person that spotted him up because he didn't talk to really anybody. That guy just stayed in bed, right? I felt like I was his only like friend that knew anything about him. Yeah. And then all of a sudden he's like, I'm going up on stage. I'm like, why?
Don't do that.
and then he, like, I spun him up. I said, congrats. He goes, I told you. And then it gets eliminated. I was like, bro, I told you should not have got on stage.
And that was a gangster move, Felicia. Like, honestly, like I was like, smart.
Yeah, no, it was smart. I wouldn't have done it because, well, first off, I like him.
Yeah.
And second, I thought there were stronger people that stronger competitors that she could have taken out. But you know, that was a bold move. And
Kyle made a bold move. A bunch of people made bold moves with that. So that happens. You float through that, and then you guys move into Glass Bridge. Glass Bridge, this is the part where I clearly started to have favorites and not favorites. How was it walking into Glass Bridge? Because it looked incredible.
The scene was ridiculous. Like it was amazing.
Yeah.
So just like looking at that bridge with all those people up there, it was great. I have some things that I need to clear up with Glass Bridge because there's the way they edited things. Have you heard about this?
Tell us.
And so I don't know how deep I can go into this, but so we agreed that we were going up there, and we agreed that we're going to take a 50-50 shot, and basically the last 3 or 4 basically get a free run, right?
Sure.
So the way they edited it made it look like Ashley wasn't taking a jump and forcing Trey to go.
Yeah. Did that not actually happen?
Nope.
Really?
So Trey blacked out. He did not know what was going on, lost sight of the plan, and started going crazy and just kept jumping, thinking he's going to go 16 in a row. And I don't know. I don't know how they edited it differently. And if you look, like it went back in time and back and forth in time. But yeah, that's why I didn't have beef with Ashley. Like Ashley and I are cool.
Thank you for clearing that up. Because I was like, why is no one mad with her except Mai?
So the only problem, the reason Mai was mad is she was in the really far back. She was number 20. So She was way back. She didn't see. All she did was hear. And Ashley was thinking about it like, man, do I take this jump? Do I not take this jump? Like she was taking a second, time wasn't an issue either. They made it seem like time was a real issue. It really wasn't an issue.
Yeah, it was moving pretty fast.
Yeah, and people were generally speaking moving pretty fast, and it wasn't that big of an issue. But my thought actually refused to jump, but Ashley took her jump actually.
Yeah,
and she was successful. But Trey just, I don't know if Trey got to edit this himself or what happened, but they did a nice edit for Trey. Let's just say that.
Yes, he got a golden edit for sure.
Yeah, so shout out to Trey. That's my guy. But that's not how it goes.
No, so basically what you're saying is people, when they were on the bridge, people still at the starting spot couldn't really, were you all not talking to each other?
We were, but we were pretty far out there, man. Like, but by the time I was number 11,
okay,
and by the time we were out there, like you saw, I was like yelling back to Mai.
You were like, tell me what to do. That's right, Mai. Tell me, how did that? Like, you talk about you putting all of your faith in Mai. How did that come about?
You know, honestly, when you're up there and your game's on the line, just thoughts go through your head. And I'm up there, and you know, I knew that even to get to Glass Bridge, like Mai helped me through so much, and my team. And without my team, I wouldn't have been at Glass Bridge. So I was like, you know what? Made it this far. Come on, Mai, give me one more. And you know, and again, she's some sort of special intelligence agent or something. I figured she was like counting, looking, and everything. I was like, I have a better chance with her telling me where to go. And that's why like I had to verify a couple times because I couldn't hear. Obviously, with our microphones, you can hear everything perfectly. But I listened. I was like, wait, this one, right?
Yeah.
And everybody like, yes. And then I took my leap of faith.
So Mai was not in your initial like friend group. When did you become like with your relationship with Mai? How did that bloom?
No, she was 287. So she was okay. Yeah, so she was again family. She was my tent group from the beginning.
Okay.
And she was just the sweetest person from day one. And I think getting to know people in the tent was important because people change when the cameras are on, when the microphones are on. I don't know if you had a real mic on. I had a fake mic on for red light, green light. They thought I was going home, so they were like, oh, he doesn't need a backpack. Like,
I had a real
pretty quick.
You had that little styrofoam thing, like
100%. And I was like, pretty sure that this isn't going to do anything. And they look at the number again. They're like, no, that's the right one for you. I was like, oh, cool. All right. They had my round trip flight booked for like the next day.
Yeah, hilarious. That's right. Mine was booked out like a couple of weeks. They were planning for me to stay. I did it, but
yeah. Oh, they booked mine literally the next day, and I was like, I had it listed on my flight, loser flight, do not board. It was on my calendar for so long. But yeah, so Mai and I, we were best friends from day one, and then you actually see a scene in there. Well, she was the one that was braiding my hair. That's the number one question people would ask me. Who braided your hair? So Mai braided my hair and everybody's hair, I think, in the dorm. And I injured my back in red light, green light. I pulled a muscle in my back from being out there so long with those bad shoes on. So she would actually, before competitions, massage out my back to get me ready for competition. Yeah. And yeah, we just became like best friends from day one. And it only grew from there. And you could see the relationship where I 100% knew she had my back and I had her back no matter what. So although I wish I would have made the next game, which we'll talk about a little bit, but because I bet you she may have been starting to think about taking me out eventually. I don't know.
That circle of trust, yeah.
Yeah, that circle of trust, yeah. But I would have never picked her, and she knows that. So if she used that against me, I would have shook her hand or gave her a hug and say, all right, good job.
So let's talk about that. So you make it through. Congratulations, you make it through Glass Bridge. You go back into the dorms. We see the moments that you guys have. We see people talking. We see what happens between Mai and Ashley. And I think a lot of us are wondering, like, how come more people weren't upset with Ashley? But now that explains it, like what the reason was. But that also explains why Mai was still had an issue with Ashley. So that happens. They bring out a rope. You know, they bring out a die, and y'all are probably like, what is this about? And that.
Well, I was actually excited at first. I was like, oh, let me do tug of war against these people. Like, all the big guys are out. I was like, I'll do 1 on 11 tug of war right now for 4.56.
Yeah.
Let's go. But yeah, they bring that out, and I was like, what is this? This looks stupid. That was my initial thought.
Yeah. So they bring that out, they make the triangle, and then it's the dice. So this is a very interesting part of the game. And like you said, editing probably has something to do with it, but everybody is basically falling on the sword. And then Mai does not fall on the sword. Mai is the only one to really, pick someone else. Did that surprise you? I mean, you alluded to it in the show, but did you guys not talk about this before? What was that?
So the way they did it, we really didn't get to game plan. So it was immediate. Basically, it's like, all right, here's the roles, go. And we didn't really get to talk to each other. Mm-hmm. But again, there's significant editing going on here. And I hope this interview is not going to get me in trouble, but here we go. So first off, Mai and I could have decided who was moving on to the top 9.
How so?
So Mai became the captain, right? So she got the die. The rule that they don't talk about is after you roll the die, you can give it to whoever you want. Mm-hmm. So she could have said, Ashley, rolled it. Okay, 5. Chad, here you go. All right, Ashley, roll. Mm-hmm. Okay, Mai, here you go. Ashley, roll 6. Okay. Ashley,
so the captain was the one giving the die?
No, whoever had the die gets to choose who they can give it back to. So I think, and Mai and I, we haven't gotten to talk about this. Her idea was, let's just take out whoever we want to take out, mm-hmm. and just go back and forth. Mm-hmm. And if you see, and they edit this out, but they did show part of it where when Mai picks Ashley, I hug Ashley. Mm. And I'm like, and I go, we're not going to do this. Mm. And the reason, and maybe I made the wrong choice. Mm. The reason I didn't want to do that is twofold. One, everybody that made it that far deserved a chance. Mm. And for me to choose, all right, you're not going to make it. You're not going to make it. You're not going to make it. Mm-hmm. If it was 5 of us, 100%. Yeah. Like, yeah, right. If there's 5 of us, 100%. No doubt, I would have been like, all right, it's me and Mai in the finals. Let's roll. But there's 12 of us. Yeah. And for me to do that to somebody like Ashley, by the way, stop hating Ashley. Yeah. She's an incredible person. She's smarter than 99% of you out there too, by the way. And she's scary too. So she's a good man.
And she competes bodybuilding competitions. Yeah, cool.
Yeah, she's a monster. And I got to know her more in the dorm as well. I do owe her for that comment. I told her we'll talk about that in a little bit. But so that's the one thing they didn't show is we could have just decided who's getting out. Mm-hmm. The other thing they don't show, after Perna, who shout out to Perna, awesome human,
amazing human being, yeah,
incredible story. Yeah. Just if you don't know Perna, check him out. Might be the best person in the entire world.
I would have to agree with you on that.
Right, just as a great human being. And then after B gets out, so B got out first, then Perna. There were 8 people that had to roll before me. 8.
So you were feeling comfortable. You were good.
Oh, I was chilling. I was like, all right, well, I guess. And it was like Rose. It was Amanda. It was Elliot. I'm like, man, all these guys have to go before me.
3, 2, 4. And then it comes around to you.
Then it comes to me, and then I roll, and I get a 1. Okay. It bounced outside the rope.
Okay. You're like, no biggie. It's cool.
No biggie. Let's do it again. Roll again. 3. Bounced outside the rope. Okay. Roll again. Bounces against the rope. Back in. 6. Woo! It's bringing tears to my eyes right now. Yeah. whew.
You roll a 6. What were you feeling in that moment? You had been through all of this. You roll a 6. What were you feeling?
I feel like I let a lot of people down. That's what I felt like. But as you can see, my run over to me, and you know, I had other relationships in there as well. So I was actually set up really well, even for the next game and for the final eight. Haley, Sam, who's also from Fort Lauderdale, or right up the street, Wealth Manners. Mm-hmm. We all had good relationships, and even with Ashley and I had a good relationship that even got better after the whole My thing that I mediated.
Sure.
So initially, like, I was just thinking of all the people like Brownie, Figgy, Cookie, all the people that throughout that I knew I was representing them because they helped me get to where I was, and I immediately felt like I let people down, and that, to me, that's the worst thing, is letting anybody down. Mm-hmm. And you know, I work with Big Brothers Big Sisters. I love what you're doing. I wanted to create financial literacy through Big Brothers Big Sisters, a program to use the money for that. Mm-hmm. So I had big dreams, just like everybody else. Mm-hmm. And for it to go out on a roll of the die, mm-hmm. you know, a 16.6% chance, and 8 other people rolling before me, and I could have just nominated Amanda, nominated Ashley, and then handed the die to Mai. Yeah. She could have done the same thing. That hurt, but I felt like it was the right thing to do again, and for me to just change who I am because of the 4.56 million wouldn't have been right. And you know, I'm glad that I went through with it. The result sucks. It's been a rough couple days, honestly, reliving that. But I still think it was the right thing to do.
Yeah. Let me just say, from player to player, as somebody who has been through the experience to an extent with you, and then meeting you, which you are a gentle giant out here, but also meeting you and then watching you on television and watching your gameplay and watching how you conduct yourself. And at the very beginning, they asked, what would you do for $4.5 million? And in my mind, if you have to backstab people, if you have to lie to people, if you have to cheat people, and completely show this terrible character, is that worth it? And you prove that you can be a good person, and that, you know, you played the game with integrity, and you played the game where anybody in your life would be proud of you. And you played the game where you can say, this is who I am. You know what I mean? And I'm proud of you for that, man. I loved watching you on TV. I love seeing how the integrity you have, the loyalty you had to your crew. Everybody who was a part of your clique loves you. You know what I mean? That I talked to. And it was an honor to watch you on television.
No, I really appreciate that. And you know, I'm getting so many nice messages that I've inspired people to do different things, and it showed that, you know, good people can make it through. And yeah, I remember even going into the game, I had friends who were saying, don't tell anybody you're a lawyer, or don't tell anybody this, or don't tell anybody that, you know, because then you get a target on your back. Mm-hmm. I was myself from day one. And as far as I know, and I know you've done more interviews, I don't think anybody targeted me. I don't think anybody.
No.
Right. So, you know, I joked around with Bright and TJ, a couple of the big, you know, the bigger personalities, if you will, in the game. And everybody's favorite scene, I think, of mine is when I wake up out of bed and TJ's the captain. I was like, he's not my captain.
That's what you said. You were like, he's not my captain.
I was like, he's talking about being unanimously voted. I'm like, my vote wasn't cast. I promise you that.
But did you literally sleep through that whole thing?
Yeah. I had no idea what was going on. Yeah, I had no idea. And I woke up to him thanking everybody for unanimously voting. I'm like, what? I'm like, what just happened here? I remember thinking, I was like, man, if this cost me my game,
I'm gonna be hot. We're
right.
Quick fire.
So, but yeah, just everybody that I met through the game, and I got to speak to TJ and some people after the game as well, and just incredible people. And I am glad that, you know, when my mom watches this, when my wife watches this, when, you know, just people in general in the community, through Big Brothers Big Sisters, Legal Aid, I've had judges that I'm in front of, and attorneys saying, "Man, you really changed the narrative about attorneys." You know, people have this negative connotation that,
Yeah.
that attorneys are cutthroat. They'll do anything for money. They'll do this, that, and the other. And to help change that just a little bit for some people, and inspire some people to do some different things.
Yeah.
I can tell everybody out there that's sending me messages, thank you. It means a lot. I'm responding to every single one, and it's so funny when people are like, "Oh, you're actually responding to me." It's like, yes, I'm a real human, and I do respond.
Yeah.
And it's taken me a little longer to respond now because I'm getting so many messages, and I am still working my full-time day job. I was in court yesterday. But I promise I'll get back to every message. I'll answer all your questions that I'm allowed to answer.
Of course.
Again, not trying to get sued by Netflix.
They have a legal team.
And their legal team's bigger than mine. But yes, it was a wonderful experience meeting people like you, and just being on a show like this. This is an incredible experience that I'll talk about for the rest of my life.
So last question, really quick. What was your biggest takeaway, like biggest lesson? Because I'm sure when you signed up for this game last year, you know, you weren't expecting to make these friendships and connections and bonds. What has been your biggest change, maybe, or takeaway that's happened with you from partaking?
Well, a few things. So first, I never expected to have lifelong friendships from this and be so emotionally connected and you know, cry when people were eliminated. And so to make those friendships so quickly was special. And you know, I was with Figgy 2 weeks ago. I was with Brownie 3 weeks ago. I'm meeting Cookie tomorrow, actually.
Nice.
So these are my people. So yes, to everybody that's asked me, these are real friendships. We really cared about each other, and these are going to remain. Second, it's given me more confidence in who I am, because, you know, everybody has self-doubt, and to be on a worldwide stage and put that out there, you don't know how you're going to be perceived. And, you know, you might think you're a good person. You might think many different things about yourself. But to have so many people out there, incredible people, saying such nice things, and these people really got to know me on the show. And to have all the contestants saying, "Man, Chad's that guy," really gives me a confidence boost. It's like, all right, well, you know, maybe I am a decent guy. Maybe, you know, this is kind of cool to have that. Obviously, it'd be cool to have the 4.56 as well.
Sure.
It'd be nice to have both. Not that I'm still hurt over that or anything, but yeah, you know, and those two things were the biggest takeaways for me. It's just the incredible people that I met, the relationships that I had, and you know, knowing that people recognized who I am and seem to be a pretty decent guy. So those are the two things.
And don't get me wrong, $4 million is good, but that right there, that's a prize that will last a lifetime, multiple lifetimes, bro.
For sure. And your reputation is priceless, and it'll be around forever. Yeah. And to be known as the guy that wasn't just going to sell his soul to eliminate somebody felt pretty good.
Yeah, it was an honor to watch. Chad, thank you so much for coming on Just in Time for Story Time. This has been an honor for me. Let people know where they can find you.
Justin, I'm easy to find, man. If you go to my IG at CVH Law, again, I will hit you back. So please send me nice messages. I can't take the negative ones right now. Can you give me at least a week to recover? But if you have nice messages, hit me up. Send me the mean ones next week. I'll get back at you.
There you go. Will you come back to Just in Time for Story Time, man?
Bro, anytime you want me on, you know me, man. I I said it in the dorms, and I'll say it now. I have an open door policy for any of my squid mates. If there's anything I can do for any of you, any legal work I can do, any videos I can do, any promos I can do, I got you.
My God. Guys, this has been another wonderful episode of Just in Time for Storytime. Like I said, here we're all about inspiring people, inspiring stories. I am a diverse book children's author. So as we talked about trying to change, we want everyone to feel represented and seen in the things in the books that they read. So definitely support that. But also, check out some of the other videos. Some of the people that Chad has met, we're also interviewing, and some of his other family. But it was an amazing experience. And so until next time, this is Chad Van Horn, player 286. I'm Justin Stephen Ford, player 154. And you're just in time for story time. Take care, guys.
Thank you.